Good evening, everyone. Thanks for attending. I'm going to call this meeting to order and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance first, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silence for first responders, and police, and military.
Thank you. Good evening from the newly painted and freshly floored East Goshen border. Thanks to everyone who did that. Tonight's meeting is going to be on Zoom as well. We'll go for any comments in the room first before we move over to the Zoom. With that, we'll go ahead to Chairman's report, which there is none. Now open up the floor for any public comments that is not related to the board agenda. Anything in the room? Which is Kelly on Zoom. So with that, I'll go ahead and welcome Chief Blakey up to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. Wasn't at last month's meeting, so happy New Year, everybody. Larry and congratulations.
Thank you.
So for the month of January, the police department responded to a total 1,941 calls for service. 1,035 of those occurred in Scotian Township. Again, since I wasn't here January, there were some of our final statistics for 2025. The department handled a total of 24,277 incidents in 2025. 3,140 of those were traffic stops. 617 vehicle crash investigations, with 247 criminal arrests, and in East Goshen specific, there were 13,051 calls for service. Specifically, in East Goshen in January, the department handled 7 animal complaints, 12 police alarms, 17 frauds, 27 motor vehicle crashes, 8 domestic disturbances, 6 disturbances, 6 harassment complaints, 1 impersonating a police officer incident, 4 simple assault, 1 rape investigation, 9 suspicious conditions, 7 incidents, 12 well-being checks, 2 weapons offenses, 3 theft reports, and 21 traffic-related problems. The department handled 526 proactive incidents. 90 of those were traffic stops, and the remaining were patrol checks, business checks, neighborhood checks, and such. In January, one thing we did do is we put some of the 2025 statistical analysis on our Facebook page. That's something we're going to do now on a monthly basis. So coming up very soon, we're probably going to not do it in February for January, since we just did for 2025. But going forward, every month we're going to have previous month's statistics on our social media, so everybody can see what we are falsers on. So I'm very pleased to announce that a recent study completed in January of this year by Safewide Safety and Home Security Research Group ranked our department as the 3rd safest community in the state. These rankings are based on reported FBI crime data and on violent crime and property rates per 1,000 residents. So we were the only Chester County Police Department ranked in the top 10. This designation is attributed to the dedicated officers in our department who work diligently every day to keep our community safe. I'm pleased to announce the recent promotion of Sergeant James Reniger to the rank of Lieutenant. Lieutenant Reniger is here with me this evening. Lieutenant Reniger will oversee the patrol division of the department. The department also promoted Detective Russell Weederling and Ryan Benningfield to the rank of sergeant. Both Sergeant Weederling and Sergeant Benningfield will be assigned to the patrol division under Lieutenant Reniger and supervise patrol squads. Both sergeants bring a vast knowledge of police work through their training and experience and great assets to our department's leadership team. Lastly, I'd like to announce the retirement of 2 of our members of our police department. 2 weeks ago, Officer Gary Fry retired from the police department after 28 years of dedicated service. And Sergeant Steve Watson will be officially retiring from the department after 34 years of dedicated service later this week. I thank them both for their service to our community, wish them all the best in the next chapter of their lives. That's all.
Thank you, Chief. We'll have to celebrate the department. Thank you for your leadership and congratulations, Rennie, on that. I know Thursday, Sergeant Wassel will be having a retirement luncheon, yeah, from 11 to the board members, so I think I passed that along, but any questions for the chief?
Just congratulations.
And then, Russ, if you have questions on to the microphone, please.
Two things, Chief, you mentioned this Facebook thing, you don't have Facebook, how can you get that? Hey.
But so I go up and start, here we go.
So, let me just move on. Is there a scam going around about people calling saying they're part of the Chester County Sheriff's Department?
So I can answer those. Thank you for those questions. The first one, we also have, which we are going to do this more prevalently, we also have our website. Which is, you can find us on, just Google West County Scotia Police Department. It's our website's through what's called Crime Watch. So you can sign up through Crime Watch and you can actually get alerts that will be sent to your email. You can check it regularly through our website for the updates on incidents like that. Second, that is a very common fraud among many others that our residents, encounter. Our suggestion always is to never give money out or give your financial information out over the phone, online. If you think that it may be legitimate, which again, we're not going to call, the sheriff's department isn't going to call and ask for money. Just call that organization directly. So if you were to get a call that said, no, I'm a member of West End Scotia Police Department, you want a donation, you don't believe it, call us, our department will verify. Same thing with the sheriff's department.
Yep, I'm sorry, Digger, but it was saying that it was, give me a call back because of a legal matter.
Again, that's just a way to get the call back to get you hooked to call your.
Yeah.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks, chief. Any other questions for the chief? I thought it was done.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Go ahead and move over to Goshen Fire Company. Good evening, Teddy and Grant.
For the month of January, our company had 102 fire calls.
You just bring it up.
We responded to 102 fire calls, 483 EMS calls, and 30 fire police calls. In East Ocean, we had 38 fire calls, 239 EMS calls, and 6 fire police calls. We had one major incident in East Ocean on January 3rd. We had a dwelling fire on Beaumont Circle. And again, wasn't here for last month, but just a quick recap of 2025. We had 805 fire calls, which is by far our busiest year ever. The last quarter was unbelievably busy. EMS calls were 5,072, 2,860 were short of East Ocean down. And our fire police responded to 393 calls, 112 were short of East Ocean.
Thanks, Grant. I have a couple questions. I don't know if anyone else had any. First off, I looked at the fire responses per municipality. I saw other with 20.
Yes.
What any specific driver for that for 233%?
For last year,
For year to date, I believe it was PJ, just January.
we just have a lot of mutual aid calls. We assisted Concordville several times, which is kind of unusual for us, but a number of runs in Westchester.
My next question is for you as it pertains to the subscription drive.
Mhm.
How's that going so far?
Last update I got last week, we were lagging about 5% from last year. Our reminder letter is going out any day now. Hopefully we'll make that back up. We did notice that the assisted living facilities are pretty soft this year. We usually get a pretty good return from Bellingham and so forth, but their numbers they're pretty low. We're gonna go and hand out the letters. Hershey smells very strong, and that's always one of the letters. we're glad to see that, but, we got a little bit to make up. for.
And lastly, congratulations on the grant from Congresswoman Houlihan. That's fantastic. So,
It was,
did everyone else hear about that on the board? I won't, oh, you everyone heard it? All right, then I'm not gonna say about it. So,
yeah, it was, tremendous news. We thought it was dead in the water with, the budget issues and the federal level, but it was a wonderful phone call.
That's great. Thanks, Ed. We have both the Malvern Fire Company and Good Fellowship in the packet, if anyone's interested in that, but I don't think we have a representative here from that. We'll go ahead and move along. We have no public hearings tonight. We'll go to the financial report. Ellie.
As of January 31st, net passed through, the general fund had a preliminary year-to-date revenue of $518,720. Expenses of $1,108,884, for a net result of negative $590,164. As of January 31st, the entire general fund balance was $5,578,908. For the budget, year-to-date, revenues are $375,000 more than what was budgeted. Real estate transfer tax, a grant for Park and Rec, and early sign up for the Apple Growth Golf event for the majority of the income for this year. Year-to-date expenses are $250,000 under budget. The multiple winter storms in January consumed nearly the entire budget for snow leaves for the year. Are there any questions about the reports?
Oh, that's supposed to be over budget, right?
No, under. I think it's under.
Oh, okay.
I was just, the way it was worded, I was like, well, it looked like we were,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I got it. Thank you, that's my fault. Any questions for Kelly on the financial report? Questions in the room? Zoom room? Thanks, Kelly. We'll go ahead and move along to, we have no approval of the minutes, but we will go right back to Kelly for the treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report covers January 15th through February 12th of 2026. EIT and LST collections, transfer tax revenue, real estate tax collections, rent, interest income, permits, alarm fees, wireless revenue, park and rec registrations for summer camp, and pavilion rentals drove general fund revenue during this period. General fund expenses include the monthly legal contribution, vehicle maintenance and repairs, highway materials, building maintenance and repairs, salt for winter road maintenance, engineering costs, Brandywine Valley SPCA, straight pickups, park and rec programs, events and maintenance, insurance payments, volunteer service tax credits, and routine operational expenses. Expenditures from the capital reserve fund include 19,000 for two Exmark laser mowers after the trade-in of the old mowers that we had. 13,000 for the 4-post lift for the shop. And expenditures for the infrastructure sustainability fund are for water sampling and Bow Tree Pond engineering costs. Were there any questions about the bills?
Okay, I just had two comments. First off, I'm happy to see a couple years ago, we started the volunteer tax credit for people who met a certain amount of hours. It's nice to see that people are taking it when that's good use. I did have a question specifically about the Brandywine Valley SPCA straight pickup. Has anyone paid? I know we have to pay the upfront cost. Does the owner ever come back and pay and return, make payment back to us?
To try to collect it, we have to look at that.
What's the only comments I had? Did anyone else have any questions about the bills? Any comments in the room? In the Zoom room? Okay, I'd entertain a motion that we pay the bills.
I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Bills passed 5-0. Moving on over to ordinance 129-8-2026. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is the sewer ordinance associated with the land development at 1338 Morstein Road, also known as the Schiffer Track. It is subdivision of 16 homes, I believe 3 of which are in East Goshen Township. So as I know we've talked about this many times, but I'll try to just give another quick recap. Because of the fact that 2 jurisdictions, West Whiteland and East Goshen, are involved here and both have a part of the subdivision, we needed to iron a few things out in the intergovernmental agreement that we have with West Whiteland. One of them was having to pass a special sewer district so that we would be able to bill those 3 houses West Whiteland rates because they flow into the West Whiteland sewer system. So that is essentially the ordinance upon you is what that is attempting to do. And again, that is 129A-2026. Also as to establish the Zermatt Station, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Road Subdivision Sewer District. And Mark, I don't know if you have anything to add, but that is my summary.
No, just that, I agree with what you said, Derek, and all of the effluent from, these 3 properties will flow in West Whiteland system, so we're just using our billing to, bill those 3 properties at West Whiteland's rates. That's really good. So,
Thanks, Mark. Any questions from the board?
Out of curiosity, do we know if our rates are higher than their rates or otherwise?
I'll get back to you on that. I think they're slightly higher. I want to say they're higher.
But ours are
Yeah.
probably high.
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry. Any other questions from the board? Okay. Peter, do you have a question?
No, but Mr. Chairman, I move that the board adopt ordinance number 129-A-2026 to establish the Zimmerman Station Road Subdivision Sewer District.
Second.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Barbara. I'm sorry, Ian. Any questions from the room? Any public comment? Comment in the Zoom room? Yeah, go ahead and call the motion. All in favor? Aye. Move along to presentation from Linda Rooney, Communication Services. Derek.
Yep. So let me pull up the presentation here. So yeah, we've just as a way of background, we've discussed a lot. I would say even before the new board came on, but certainly in the last few months, communication and what sort of efforts can we make as a township to communicate even better with our residents. And I, full disclosure, have worked with Linda in the past in my role at West Goshen. And she does essentially what's e-newsletters, electronic newsletters for West Goshen, but it's a lot more involved than that, and I'll let her get into the project. But they always did a great job of making sure information not only comes out in a expedited way, but also making sure that we're constantly communicating. I think that's the key thing with the residents, which is tough to do when everybody else in-house has a full-time job that they're concentrating on. It really takes a lot of effort to communicate, which, some people may not think so, but in order to do it consistently and accurately, it does. So I will pull up the presentation, but I just wanted to give a little intro there for Linda and Dandelion Digital. And Linda, if you have anything to add before your presentation, you can do that now as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for having me tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to present our services to all of you. And to just let you know, all of our clients are municipal government, and we do really enjoy working with municipal governments. They're extremely hardworking people and really nice to work with. So, but I'll let you know a little bit about what we do and how our processes work. You'll get to see some of the other municipalities that we work with. And, hopefully we can help East Goshen, to get your communications out there. And the thing about communicating for municipalities is everybody is so busy in the municipality doing their jobs that they really don't have a lot of time to get the word out there about what they're doing. And we estimate it takes, to get like a full service sort of communications program going, it's about 10 to 15 hours a week. That would come out of somebody's job that is a 40-hour a week job. So I think it's really difficult for municipalities to present cohesive messaging on all their channels when they work 40 hours a week. So that's kind of where we come in and we try to help them. So my name is Linda Rooney. I founded the company in 2017. We currently work with 10 municipalities now, and they are in Chester County, Montgomery County, and Delaware County. We did have one client in Minnesota. We all work from home, and really we can do this process anywhere for any municipality. It is easier that you're closer, though. So for our full service municipal communications, some of the things that we do for you. The one thing that we always keep in mind is when you're getting your news out, you want it on the website, on your social media, and in newsletters. So you have several channels that you want to broadcast information on, and we make sure the messaging is consistent over all those channels. So we do website updates. We don't want to lead somebody back to information on the website if it's wrong. So like the police chief was speaking about police reports, we can put them up for him on the website. We do that for a lot of our police departments. When it comes to fire company membership drives, we'll get the word out there. We'll put information on the website and we'll include a call to action in every newsletter every month. For our email communications, we do start with a monthly email newsletter. Once we get you set up on that, it goes out every month, usually 3 to 5 days after your your legislative meeting for the board of supervisors. Because if anything was discussed at the board of supervisors meeting, we want that information out there accurately before people start to second guess about what was discussed. So every month we'll do an emailed newsletter. And make sure that same information is in the news on your website. If there are events that we're advertising for recreation, we make sure that those events are on the calendar on your website. We make sure everything is coordinated. We do our own graphic design. We have graphic designers on staff, so we'll use your logo, your colors. We make sure that it's consistent wherever we're using your branding. And we do our own social media cards. We get a little creative with that so that people will look at the social media posts. What we see when we start with clients is usually a huge uptick in subscribers to the monthly e-news, followers on Facebook and Instagram. If you have Twitter, we also work with X, we also work with that too. But we look for that consistent growth. We really want to make sure that we are reaching as many people as possible. When we do the email newsletter, your list may be small in the beginning, but we work to build those subscribers by, sign up forms at events or by, social media posts, like subscribe to the newsletter. So we try to build that subscriber list and, we also offer graphics such as event flyers and lawn signs that you can put in your administration building or in your library or wherever you think people are going to see it. Once the monthly email newsletter is posted, we boost it for a very small amount on Facebook. We do a Facebook ad and we go within your geographic area. And I can tell you, even if your emailed subscriber list seems low, it gets in front of tens of thousands of people on Facebook. And it also gets published to your website. So anybody can go to the website, anybody can go to Facebook. It'll show up in their feed as a Facebook ad and they can see it that way. So the social media posting, monitoring, graphics, and analysis. This we take pretty seriously. We have some really, powerful software that we use for this, and we can post from the software. We can monitor anything that might be happening now. We can't monitor private groups, but we can monitor public community groups and let you know if people are talking about something. We'll contact Derek or, whoever, and we'll be like, you might want to mention this in the next newsletter because people are asking questions about it. And people do ask questions on social media. So what we'll usually do is make sure the information is on the website. And if they're asking a question about something they saw on social media, we'll direct them back to the website. We'll say, here's all the information that you can find it here. Or we'll say, call the township and we'll give the number so that, they know how they can get the answer. We also publish analytics every month. So we don't want to just communicate and then say, okay, we're doing the best we can. We'll give you a report every month and we'll say, here's your increase in followers for your social media accounts. Here's your increase in subscriber list. Here's the open rate for the newsletter. Our open rates are consistently over 50%. So, and that's unheard of. In government, it averages around 25 to 30%. We are consistently over 50% open rate. And we have really good click-through rates. People are clicking in the newsletter. So we also offer like special event and campaign work. So if you're having a big event, we can handle the graphics, any kind of invitations that you need to go out. We can handle all of that. And we also promote it. So we'll promote it on your website, on social media, provide flyers if you want to put them around town. We can help with that, especially for parks and recreation. A lot of times, they plan a lot of events. We do see when we work with parks and rec departments, park and rec boards, we see an increase in attendance kind of right away within the first 6 months after working with a municipality. And then I did speak a little bit about our monthly analytics. Our monthly analytics that we send every month will show you your audience growth, your social media engagement, and your news mentions, which is important. The software that we use will tell us when you're mentioned in newspapers. And we can say, there was an article about such and such, do you want to address it in the next newsletter? So it helps inform us about what's going on in your township, even though we're speaking to people, staff and board members weekly, pretty much. We do follow the news to see if you're ever mentioned. Go ahead, Derek. So basically to wrap, that's our process, but really it's about engaging residents and making sure that they can get the information that they need on every platform that the township has. And we really want the residents to know what the board and the staff at the township are doing, because a lot of times they do what they do every day, 40 hours a week, and they're not, broadcasting that. So you don't know. And a lot of times we'll ask questions like, do you want to speak about like an ordinance? Do you want to speak about a grant that you just received? And we'll help rate that article. We'll make a phone call, we'll do a phone interview, and we'll get all the details, and then we write the article. And we do have copywriters on staff who can write articles like that. And things like that are helpful because in the newsletter, it'll say, East Goshen just received a $600,000 grant or whatever. And then we have a read more here link, and it'll go to news on your website. And it'll have a full article on what, where the money came from, what it's going to be spent on. So we like doing articles like that. And we can definitely help with that. But basically it's making sure that the information is everywhere, for your residents. Okay. So we do have, you see a word cloud on this one. This comes from the software that we use that that helps us know the pulse of the residents. So we get these word clouds and we can see right away if somebody is, if there's a topic that is a hot topic, so to speak, with the residents, we want to make sure that you're aware of it and that we can help you address it. If you want an article written or you want something in the newsletter, we can help with that. But basically, it's making sure that it's clear and concise messaging that can be that can be read and understood by residents. We make sure that that same messaging is across all of your channels, so that if people are looking in different areas, they'll find it. And then sentiment analysis and communications consulting. So if there's a large project or you need some PR or you need a press release, we can do that. That's included. So if there's sort of a hot topic that's running a little bit rogue, and you want to address it, we'll help you with that. And we do have a press list that we submit to, and they kind of know us now in Chester and Delaware and Montgomery County, so they usually do print what we send them. So the benefits of holistic municipal communications. Number one is civic engagement. Like I said, we usually see an immediate uptick in e-news subscribers, social media followers, attendance at events. We usually see an uptick. We actually were working with somebody last year who was planning an event, and it actually got a little too big, and so we had to regroup and figure out, how they were going to do the event. But we do promote those events pretty heavily, and it's timely. So if you're discussing something at at a board meeting and you want to get that out there before the rumor mill starts, basically, we can get it out there for you. And it's a value proposition, like I said before, for someone on staff to do it, it would be 10 to 15 hours of their time outside of their 40 hours a week that they work, to do it in a way that's effective and holistic and hits all of your channels, all of your communication channels. So we take that burden off of the municipality and we can offer pretty much full service. Okay. And so our process. First, we make sure the website content is there and that it is readable. If it's something large, like a development or a project, a planning project that's pretty big, we can make a web page for it. But usually we'll use the news on your website for things. And then we do a monthly newsletter and we'll help with the quarterly PDF. Like I said, we have graphic designers on staff. And then we send everything for approvals before publication. So we'll get everything together. Articles are approved ahead of time. We fit everything into the newsletter, whether it's the monthly or the quarterly. And then we send it all for approval. Once the publication is approved, we know it's okay to go out there. So we sort of break apart the monthly e-news and we provide you with like 3 to 5 social media posts a week. We kind of take those little blurbs that are in the newsletter and we put them out there separately. And we also make sure they're on your website. And then we provide you with, it's actually monthly analytics. We're going to switch to quarter, but it's easier for us to do monthly. So it's monthly analytics and we'll just send you the report and you can look at it. We can, meet monthly or bi-weekly whenever you want us to, and go through the analytics and see where we need to improve or, what we could be doing, differently. And some of those analytics are also include like your news mentions and any kind of sort of community group chatter that's out there on social media. We'll discuss that too at those meetings. This is just some of our work. We rebranded Chill on the Hill for East Whiteland last year. They got a new logo, so we tried to keep with their logos, their logo colors. And that's their summer concert series. So we rebranded that. We made flyers for them. And then every individual event was published on social media to draw, to make sure there was a lot of attendance. Media Borough has a sustainable storefronts program that we branded, and it's kind of a neat program. If a store, uses sustainable goods like for packaging and no plastic, they have a plastic bag ban, but no plastic bags, no styrofoam. If they follow certain sustainability sort of, if they are sustainable, then they get like it's a cling sticker, like a Michelin star, but it goes on their it actually goes on their window. And we designed all the stickers and everything for that. And then West Bradford Township has a preserve and conserve program. We kind of did the same thing, but this is for residents. And if they practice sustainability, there's a form on the website that they fill out. And then we made those stickers, and those stickers go on their mailboxes. So, families can apply. And for West Goshen Township, we've done a couple videos for them. There was a solar array video that we pushed out on YouTube, and there's another video on YouTube for their wastewater treatment plant right now that we just finished. And it's pretty cool. Like, we go through the wastewater treatment plant, and we filmed and we show people where exactly everything goes and how it's processed. It's actually a very fun video. And then, we publish all their park and recreation events. And we did a lot, the flyers and stuff for the America 250, which East Goshen and West Goshen are doing together. We have been publishing all those events on their website, and we made a special micro site within their website for the America 250. And we do event surveys. They just started this, and it's actually a pretty great idea. They have bus trips, and we have a QR code that their park and rec director sort of shares the QR code with everybody, and as they're riding the bus home, they do the survey. So, and it's all pretty much electronic. I mean, if people want paper, we do have paper ones, but most people do it with the QR code on the phone. Are there any questions about what we do?
I have one. First of all, that was very good and exciting, actually. Our goal, I think, as a board is to increase communications and draw more people. We'd like to see more people at the meetings, for example. One of my questions of you is, how do you deal in your municipal communications with the extraordinary range of ages? And in particular, in East Goshen, we have a population that is median age of about 52, so older age. But yet we also have younger families moving in, and they partake in park and recreation with their children, and a lot of working families. We also have a gap between where the young people live and where the older people live, in terms of actual locations and precincts. So my question to you is, how do you actually try to bring life to the community for all of those age groups?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you look at social media, Facebook is skewing older
Yes,
now. Instagram
it's younger.
is all those parents that have kids, they want to see everything on Instagram. We'll never do TikTok because governments shouldn't be on TikTok, but X is an X we usually reserve for road closures and things like that. They're the people that want to get their news that way. But when we start with a municipality, a lot of what we do is to train your residents. And we want to train them to go back to the website. So we have to get that news on your website. We have to get whatever's happening on your website. And if they're not on social media, check the website. It's gonna be in both places. The other thing that we do is paper, like we'll do flyers and we'll say, bring these flyers, print them in-house, bring them to the library or put them in the administration building. Depending on how much traffic you get here, if the grocery store will let you put one up in the grocery store, put it up in the grocery store. So we do paper too, because we do want to make sure that people who aren't on, websites or on social media also know about what's going on. Like, one of the flyers that we do, that I really like are, the summer events flyers. We'll do one flyer and list all your summer events. And then we'll have a QR code on there that leads them back to the website calendar where they can see more information about those. The flyers don't need to have all the information on there or people won't read them. But just a list of all your events with the QR code so they can go to the website. And like I said, it's training them to go to the website where the information is. So.
Thank you.
I have two questions. One, I know you alluded to this a little bit at the beginning, but how do you begin putting together that email database? That just seems like for a township of our size, a big task. And probably more important to me is reaching underserved. In other words, how do we reach people without internet? Because there are those, and they tend to be those who have less access to things in general. And also some of the, not just seniors, but elderly, don't have access necessarily to internet or don't want to fuss with internet. Right now, we send 2 hard copy newsletters annually, which get surprising amount of readership. And the only problem with them is they're usually out of date. So it'd be nice to do that still, but bring them more up to date. But I'm concerned always when we limit access to those who have internet access, because that's not our whole population.
Yeah, and we do paper flyers and things like that, but part of in the monthly newsletter, we'll ask you what nonprofits within your township do you want to include their news in. So it is a digital newsletter, but there are times where we'll say to those nonprofits, like, hey, can we put some flyers out? Like, we're promoting their news. So usually they'll say, yeah, like, so food cupboards, put.
Right, but that doesn't that only hits those who happen to go to the places where there happens to be a flyer.
Yeah.
So an important point of it is the opt-in quarterly.
Yeah.
And I think would probably help. So just as an aside, sorry, Diet Coke there is probably not helping. So Linda said something in the presentation about a quarterly PDF. So what would happen is, you can correct me if I'm wrong as I explain this. What would happen is that all the 3 months that would be in digital form would then get put into a paper quarterly.
Yeah.
At the end of that 3 month. And then, but it would be, and this is important, and I'm not gonna, I mean, it's an opt-in. So the quarterly, and it would be quarterly, so I think it would be better than we have now, because obviously we're not doing it as often. But the quarterly would be an opt-in. It wouldn't be an opt-out. So the reason for that is really financial. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because I know we're not there yet, but when we get into the costs of this, whether it's tonight or another time, it's not all new expenses, because the amount we take to put stamps on these and mail them out to the population, and that actually costs money, and Kelly and I would get together and see what the difference is there. But there would be a quarterly paper newsletter with this. but it would be an opt-in. I can tell you, I understand where you're coming from, but I can tell you that it's always less than you think. So, I mean, I don't know if West Goshen is approaching like 500 opt-ins yet, or is it quarterly? Okay, so it would be substantially less to mail out the opt-ins than it is now. So that would be the primary way.
So would we, in that opt-in, send something to all the residents to give them the opportunity to opt in without having to be internet connected?
You can do that. That would be a board prerogative if you want to do that.
We sent a postcard to, using your tax, your tax addresses, or like when tax mailers go out, sometimes we'll put it in the tax mailer and say, opt in for a quarterly, for the quarterly paper newsletter. We're going digital. It kind of does say like, we're going digital. You can still opt in for a quarterly paper. And the beauty of doing a monthly is we can take those 3 months. And that's most of the information in the quarterly. And then we move forward with recreation events because we want them to know about everything that's happening before the next quarterly goes out. So that's basically how we structure those quarterly, because we already have the news out there. We move it to the paper one, and then people opt in. And I know from working with other larger townships, if they're mailing to 16 or 17,000 households, they're spending 35 to 40,000 a year on those mailings. And what we do is, we really haven't had people do opt in, and they usually are the older residents or residents without internet access. But when we don't have, those lists do not grow very big. People tend to get used to the monthly newsletter, and that list grows. I won't say that list will match your population, because it usually doesn't, but because we push it out in a social media ad, it does get in front of tens of thousands of people.
Could I ask just quickly, in follow up to that? Are you able at all with the analytics that you do to identify influencers in neighborhoods and populations?
We usually can. We can usually get that information from public community groups, private community groups where you have to become a member to join. We'll ask you if you want to join as East Scotian. And I've never had one of those private community groups say no to us asking to join. So for there's West Goshen Sunshine.
I mean, one of the things I'm thinking,
Yeah.
to Barbara's point, is that if you manage, and even in populations that may not have access to computers on a daily basis, they tend to have access to them in their schools or in the libraries or in other sites that they might go to.
Yeah.
Plus, if you're able in some way to identify the influencers around them, they talk.
Yeah.
And talking is one of the best communication devices. And that actually begins to spread word, but it means that your communication has to be really, really spicy and good.
Yeah. We do try to make it fun.
Yeah.
And, and attractive.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Did you say how many clients you have?
10.
And like, how big is your staff?
I have a staff of 2 right now, but we've partnered with a PR company in Jenkintown.
Yeah.
And we use their account reps.
Okay.
So, and they have a staff of 12,
Okay,
yeah.
so would East Goshen, if East Goshen were your client, would they have somebody specifically?
Yeah, in the beginning, it's always me.
Okay,
I do the onboarding and I make sure everything is set up okay. And we get the e-news started, we get, if you want a quarterly PDF right away, we'll get that started. And then we'll slowly introduce an account rep.
Thank
Yeah.
Thanks, Larry. Linda, one question for you, this may go back to Derek. I remember a couple years ago, we brought back the paper newsletter, which I was very happy for. I know Jess will be happy if we move forward with this because it's less article writing she has to do, and Jason. But my question for you would be costs associated with this. And this would probably go back to Kelly and Derek and how much we're spending with the current newsletter, and I guess what the difference will be if we move forward with Linda compared to what we currently spend and where that money will come from.
I can take that if you want, or, okay, so yeah, so Linda's cost breakdown hasn't changed since she's been around, so it's basically a monthly retainer. I think it adds up to just over 40K a year, if I'm wrong, is it 42, 43,
Yeah, plus then.
the software, yeah.
Yeah, there's that one software.
So, but again, it's getting back to what I was saying earlier, I would have to see. And it also depends on how many mailings you're basing it on a year. So to me, the 2 mailings a year kind of became inadequate in my opinion. That's just kind of my personal feeling on it, mainly because of what we were talking about, the events and keeping people informed of what's going on. So I personally think we needed to go back to, at some point, 3 or quarterly anyway, because it's just getting tough to keep people informed. So basically what you're gonna base that on to calculate that, I would at least make it 3 times a year as far as for Kelly and I's calculations to come up with a comparable. I'm not saying it's break even. I'm just saying it's not all new costs associated with going with a company like Dandelion Digital.
Slips are, like, we'll go through it with you, but we usually don't suggest advertisers. It kind of is just, it's news.
Yeah.
Because you just never know what's gonna happen with one of those advertisers that you have in your municipal newsletter. So, we recommend an 8-page newsletter. That's usually adequate for quarterly.
Now, I'm ballparking here because this is a while ago, but I remember in West Goshen, when we were analyzing this, and maybe you even remember, but when we were analyzing this as far as the costs associated with it, what we had budgeted prior to Dandelion Digital getting was about low 30s, like maybe $32,000 a year that was just when we were doing it, in-house newsletter. So obviously that was, West Goshen's a little bit bigger population, but I'm just saying that the mailings do add up depending on how many you do per year. I don't think people realize that really.
Yeah.
We're talking like a 25,000-ish ballpark difference. Like, what's the ballpark number?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know ballpark number for, I guess it depends again on the mailings per year, but I don't know how much the ballpark number would be for the 2 versus 3. We can get that information.
Yeah, I'll just be curious. And again, I have no issue with moving forward and making sure our residents are more informed, which is, I'm a little worried about the budget this year, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. And another part of that obviously is depending on when we started, like just hypothetically, if we started in June, obviously half the year is gone already, so that's half of the budget. Yeah, so.
It takes us 4 to 6 weeks to onboard.
Yeah,
Because we have to get into your meta and your, your website and all that kind of stuff, because that's where we're gonna be posting news and everything.
And I know the board's gonna have follow-up questions and, the process could take long, but I just wanted to get Linda in front of you guys. And again, I've been having a lot of one-on-one conversations about communication and what's possible. So I thought it was just important to get the ball rolling.
No, I agree. One last question. I want to go back to Barbara's point about how we build the lists or the list that we currently have. Would you just take our existing list then?
Yeah, take your existing, well, they have to have emails, so. What I usually do is if you have subscribers to your website, I won't know that until I see the back end of your website. We'll take those. With West Goshen, we started with 150 people and now they're up to like 5,000. So, and we just continue to build it. We put it on social media, like subscribe to the newsletter. If you have a big event, it's always good to have a sign up sheet at the event so that people are aware if there's a monthly newsletter. And we can do the graphics for that and make sure you have the sign up sheet out. Or, just have a QR code that people can go right to we use MailChimp. They'll go right to the MailChimp form. All we ever ask for is first and last name and email. And it's very easy, it takes a second, and we capture their emails.
Or any other comments from the board?
Only to say that capturing the emails is actually a really big thing and worth every penny in that sense.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Linda.
appreciate it. Look forward to future conversations. We will go ahead and move along. You may.
Just review.
Okay.
For being nice to Rusty, I don't necessarily have to, but you know, you're so engaged every meeting, so.
Heard a lot of things here. The biggest thing for me is security. You're going to be asking people for their email addresses. How do you correctly identify those East Goshen residents versus people trying to get into your hack system?
Yeah. So we use, the emails are stored in MailChimp, which is pretty secure. We have never had a hack on MailChimp at all. And we're grabbing them from your, from the website, like people that have subscribed for notifications on your website. So they're already there in the beginning, and then anybody subsequently who signs up can sign up. But there isn't really a way to hack the MailChimp. And you will have non-residents sign up because your events attract people from other townships. So you kind of want other people to sign up so that we can draw people to your events. But we've never had anybody sign up and been able to hack any email addresses. We don't store it in our own systems on Drive or Outlook. We don't store them there. We store them in the MailChimp system.
So just the educational piece, that MailChimp is like a constant contact,
Yeah.
which we
Yeah.
use already, so.
Yeah, and we'll take we'll take the subscribers from there too.
Yeah.
But we prefer MailChimp. It's a little fresher, a little more modern than Constant Contact.
And people have an opportunity to unsubscribe.
Oh, yeah, it's in every email they get from us. They can unsubscribe. We hardly see any unsubscribes. Like it's less than 0.01% for our clients.
Good question, Russ. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm a little nervous about when you mentioned the fact that you go out to different chat groups. And you're passing certain information on to the township. That scares me, the fact that sometimes they're just really private conversations you're grabbing a hold of. And if it can get out there, it could get messed up by the people who receive it. How do you stop that?
Yeah, so. Good question. So when I was referring to community groups on social media, we can only see public groups unless we ask to be invited to a private group. And we use that strictly. We never post in those groups on any of our clients' behalf. But we'll see what they're discussing. So if someone says like, my mailbox got taken out by a snowplow in a public community group, we can say, hey, Derek, here's somebody who needs a mailbox reimbursement, like just things like that. Or if there's misinformation and the discussion that we're seeing in one of those groups doesn't match what we're hearing from the township, we want to make sure residents have the correct information. So I'll say to Derek, like, Derek, this is being discussed right here. Do you want to issue a press release? Do you want us to write an article in the next newsletter to address it? To make sure that residents are aware that this is actually what the story is? That's the only reason we look at that stuff.
I think another important point though is if you want to have a private conversation, don't do it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. Yeah, I'm just, so yeah, I mean, because they're all gonna be public groups that she can access, so.
Yeah. So, we really just look at these public groups to see what people are discussing. And if there's a hot topic that you need to be aware of, we'll let you know. And also people are commenting and direct messaging on those apps now as if like they won't call the township, they'll put something on Facebook, like, hey, my mailbox got taken out. And they should call the township, you know, but they don't. So we'll say, Derek, there's, you know, another mailbox situation on Facebook or whatever. We don't respond unless it's a comment that says like, what time is the event on Saturday? And we'll say, it starts at blah, 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 and here's a link to the event on the website.
So you're not gonna be sending names of people that you put up? That's that's my biggest concern.
Okay,
Great, thanks Russ, and
yeah, good question.
thank you, Linda. Does anyone else on the board have any comments? Is everyone okay with Derek working with Kelly on numbers and seeing what next steps would be?
Yes.
Yes,
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
thank you.
As my prerogative of chair, I'd like to maybe move up an agenda item, please. I believe, I saw Justine just walking, but I believe Jamie is here as well. So I'd like to give them the opportunity. I'll just go ahead and we can go ahead and switch that around from C up to B before the comprehensive plan. So, Derek, did you want to say anything or?
No, pleasant surprise. I didn't know you guys were coming tonight, so we did get a request from well, let me back up. Caitlin O'Donnell, who was the representative on East Goshen as far as the Malvern Library Board, had to resign because she had moved out of the township. Although I think she is staying on as an at-large member, so we thank her for all her service and continued service, I guess, in another capacity. But Malvern Library Board did have a recommended candidate to go forward with, and that is Jamie Edmonds.
Yeah.
And it looks like a very simple thing to pronounce, but you never know how people pronounce anything. So Jamie is here tonight with Justine, and they can come up and talk if you want, or any kind of word you want.
Does the board have any questions about the equipment?
No, I
I'm
don't
good.
deny.
Okay.
And Jamie, if you want to say, I mean, you're more than welcome to say some words if you like, but.
And then thank you all again for everything you do to support the library. Tell you how beautiful your renovated room looks.
It's a nice surprise.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
I really wasn't sure if I was gonna talk, this, I'm Jamie Edmonds, I live over in Hershey Mills Estate, been there for almost 26 years. And thank you for your consideration. Big user of the library, and looking forward to being board.
Fantastic, great, and thanks for the phone calls and the email outreach
Yes.
prior. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd entertain a motion if anyone would like to make one.
Mr. Chair, I move we appoint Jamie Edmonds to the Malvern Library Board as an East Goshen Township representative.
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Ann. Before we go and move on, any comment in the room? Any comment in the Zoom room? Okay, go ahead and call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you both. Have a good night. Please keep us apprised of everything going on.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for moving us up the agenda.
You're gonna miss a riveting presentation.
I wanted to spare you all. All right, Derek, our last new business matter before we move on over to liaison reports and so forth is the general discussion on the comprehensive plan process and how that works. All yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I will be brief tonight. As I said last meeting, we wanted to get something going here as far as conversation. The county could not make it tonight. It was a little bit of a short notice for them. But we do have a meeting on the books with them on Thursday. So Kelly Kraus and I will be attending. And then as a planning commission liaison, I talked to Larry today. We're going to see if he can attend. And then John Stipe from the planning commission as well. So it's just a very preliminary talk to the community director of community planning at the county to see if they can give us even more information on it. Hopefully can get them here in person on March 17th. But I didn't want to delay too much in at least putting out something that really gives you the legal background and the process of the comprehensive plan process in Pennsylvania and how it's sort of set up. So I just made this myself, and I'm gonna wing it.
No way you didn't make this.
What?
You didn't make.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, it's nice work.
Oh, thanks.
Can I ask you a question
No faith
first?
in me.
Yeah, sorry.
Ask a question first. So is it this Thursday,
It is, yeah. It's like 2 days from now.
okay, and what time?
I think it's I'll tell you after the meeting. It's either at 10 or 11. But
Okay.
this is very preliminary. We'll have tons of other meetings, obviously. But yeah, we just want to get some information out of the county as far as, because right now, what kind of funding sources are available? What sort of recommendation that they do as far as getting the process started? Because as you'll see, that's really the toughest part, because it's funny, the Commonwealth is very specific in this process, except getting started. Though some people do most people do RFPs for a planner. Some people go different ways depending on the size of the municipality, but yeah, so hoping to get some good information out of them, and then again, have them in a future meeting, hoping March 17th. So, just briefly, people that don't know, what is a comprehensive plan? It's really a roadmap of how you want your community to grow and change in the coming years. Whether we like it or not, everything changes, and we really have to do this, or supposed to do it every 10 years in order to continue with the trends of what's going on in not only the region, but in the country, and how we're really growing and living as communities, throughout the United States. So it's coordinates housing, transportation, utilities, parks, informs of zoning and development decisions. It's advisory, not law. That is important. So it can have as little or as much impact as policymakers allow. It's governed by the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code, also known as the NPC Act 247. The advisory one that's an important point, because at the end of the process, as you'll see, you have to pass an ordinance in order to implement the comprehensive plan. That does not mean that anything in the plan, as far as recommendations for subdivision, land development, zoning, is implemented by law when you pass that ordinance. So that's a very important point.
Why do we have to pass them?
It's Pennsylvania. That's what I'll say. So you have to pass it by ordinance to pass comprehensive plan, but it does not mean anything changes with zoning. You would have to do that separately and on your own, but going forward.
I think that makes sense, like you're passing an ordinance to say this is our official view of the next
How
few
things should
years.
go,
But
yeah.
it doesn't mean that all of the individual elements are somehow mandatory.
Yes.
Well, and a plan of necessity is something that is very active. It isn't static, and if you aren't able to do something for some reason, then you have to be able to change.
Yep.
Because change is going to happen as you go through the process of looking at how the plan is going to roll out and when it does roll out.
Yep.
And how much money you might need at that point.
Very true. So required elements under the NPC, these are just a list of some of the core elements that a plan would compose of. You see all the things that you're pretty familiar with: transportation, housing, future land use, community facilities, agriculture, natural and historic resources, intergovernmental coordination, which is an important component in the Commonwealth because we're all so wrapped up in our own little fiefdoms, if you will, that I think we get lose sight in how important the intergovernmental cooperation and coordination is. So counties have additional requirements, but this is on a municipal scale. This is just a basic, trying to give you guys some basic information tonight. So the process, and I said it's funny because in the beginning of this, that they're pretty standard on how the process goes, except for how it starts. Because I talked to a bunch of managers, over the last few weeks trying to develop this. Vast majority do an RFP and then hire a planner because those are the professionals that do this. You have larger municipalities that have in-house planners with an AICP designation. That's the national recognition of a certified planner. So some municipalities in the Commonwealth have that. Obviously, we do not. But it is a group effort. I mean, it's, policymakers, members of the ABCs, staff. So first, when you get started, after you decide on that, you really do the community assessment part, underlying conditions of exactly what exists now, demographics, housing, infrastructure, strengths, weaknesses, what we see as opportunities. Then you work into the public engagement. This is sort of the meat and potatoes, if you will, the entire plan. I mean, when I did this in my former municipality, it was an 18-month process, and I think we met, I want to say every other month in an ad hoc committee made up of internal and external individuals. So you have public meetings, workshops. Surveys is a big component of it. So Linda was talking about surveys earlier. That would be a big component of trying to put together the comprehensive plan. Stakeholder interviews. So the MPC process for the Commonwealth, they really emphasize the public participation angle. So then the visioning and goal setting after that, and that's really, I have these conversations all the time, but what do you really want the community to look like in 10 to 20 years? There's always that battle between the growth and the preservation. Nothing is static. I mean, no matter what we think or what we like, everything's growing. So the more you can control the growth to the liking of what you think your residents would like to have in this community, the better. And then you're going to do priorities and trade-off because nothing is perfect and you're going to have to make those decisions. So then during this time, and particularly towards the end of these meetings, you do a draft plan development, and that would be the policies and recommendations that come, and that it goes back to the specific subjects that I had in the other slide of how it breaks down in the comprehensive plan. Different implementation strategies are helpful because, as I said, nothing is legally mandated to go in this plan. So the more you can kind of refer back to different ways to implement things that you see fit, the easier it's going to be as we go on here 5, 10, 15 years and to implement what the board sees fit, if anything, because I've seen plans that don't get implemented at all. That's an important component if you're really somebody that wants to think long-term and strategically. And then review and adoption. As I said, the planning commission would do the recommendation. And then you have a public hearing that's required. And then is the adoption by the governing body by resolution. I thought I have resolution here. I thought it was ordinance, but I will try to clarify that. But that would be the board of supervisors having to do that as well. So again, implementation tools. These are the things that, again, going forward, you would use if you wanted to update anything down the road after the plan is in effect. A lot of things in this plan are going to reference the zoning ordinance. Subdivision and land development is also known as SALDO. So what kind of changes do we want to see there? Obviously, stormwater is a huge issue nowadays going forward, and that's not going to change. Capital improvement plan programming, we do have one here, but can we get better through this process? Is there ways we can plan better? That could come out in planning. Same thing with grants. Can we get better there? What's the angle there? And then again, intergovernmental agreements. We're always trying to strive to work with our neighbors, but the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is not great at it when you compare us to other states, primarily because we have so many small municipalities doing their own thing. So it's important to have that as part of the plan and see where we can work even further with our surrounding municipalities going forward. Best practice, as everybody knows, I think we said a lot. You're supposed to update it every 10 years. Sometimes that goes a little bit beyond. Sometimes people do it sooner, but that's the guidance from the MPC. Multi-municipal and county planning. Pennsylvania strongly encourages the multi-municipal comprehensive plans. That's why we give it to our neighbors at the very end of this process for just to really have a say in what they think. Where our borders meet, what's our zoning there, what's their zoning there? Is it going to look cohesive? Is there a way to work with them to make it look more cohesive if it's not? So these are some of the conversations I have with my colleagues, on a manager level, and it's important. And the consistency between the county and municipal plans, there's different opinions on that, but I think the county definitely appreciates when everything's under their grand plan of right now. It's landscapes 3, I believe, is right now what it is. So they work hard on their plans as well, and they want to try to make sure everything is in keeping with sort of the guidance from them. And then the benefits, again, shared infrastructure planning with surrounding municipalities. Can coordinate the growth and management as the policymakers see fit. And then have stronger legal standing for zoning decisions. You know, it does get referenced sometimes in comprehensive plans when things go that route, but definitely not the primary reason for it.
By the way, do our neighboring municipalities come to us and say, here's our new plan?
Yes, yes, they do. I think West Whiteland and was the most recent, so we did get that. And then West Town was right before I got here, so they weren't too far off either, but yes, I had that happen too at West Goshen as well, where we received, I think you basically get 30 to 45 days to respond. Yeah. Key takeaways, again, being repetitive here, but that's the way I try to, hammer it into everybody's head. But comprehensive plans guide future growth, not day-to-day approvals. Important point. The process is public, it's strategic, and it's for very, very long. We're talking very long-term things here. And I think that's an important point because I think sometimes when we're looking at zoning and saldo, there's too much of a short term, but we have to think about, the way people are going to be living 20, 30 years from now, which is not an easy task, but it's necessary exercise. The plans all shape the zoning, the infrastructure investment, and the funding eligibility. I mean, when we go for grants, a lot of times, particularly when the comprehensive plan's newer, we'll take a look at that and say, hey, well, we're trying to do this, we're referencing our comprehensive plan. It doesn't mean it's a slam dunk, but it definitely helps build the application for a grant. And in Pennsylvania, the MPC provides both structure and flexibility. So again, the structure is that you have this document, you can refer to it, and you can draw from it as little or as much as you want, but the flexibility is it's not law and you don't have to. And it's up to the policymakers, as is everything, to do what they see fit for the population. And that is it. I didn't want to take up too much time tonight, but I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of background on the process before we get started with some conversations on the county level. And I can give questions. I didn't have this in the packet, so I apologize for that. I was tweaking it a little bit up until the end. But I can also give that to anybody who would, thank you, Cody. Anybody that would be interested in looking at the presentation. So
Nice job on the presentation. Any questions from the board? Comments?
Other than the fact that it's very.
yeah. All right, so again, we will get started with meetings. We'll be back. This is, it's going to be an ongoing process, an educational process, I hope, for everybody, and have an update at the next board meeting.
Great, thank you, Derek.
And I'll let John Stipe, who is the chair of the planning commission, he wanted to know which of our board of supervisors meetings the county would be coming to. So we wanted to be able to show up.
Yeah, we're still unsure. I'm hoping we can get an answer from them Thursday.
Okay.
I'm shooting for the next one, which I think would be March 17th.
Okay.
But,
Thank you, Derek. I'll go ahead and move along to any other matter. I'll let you talk about the other and the public comment here coming up, Russ. Any other matter?
Actually, I do have any other matter under that business. So as I try to do every time, March 3rd, we're not, that is an option for us. But we do have March 10th as the ABC planning session. And then just generally, I was planning on the next meeting being March 17th. I didn't have anything urgent for March 3rd, but as always, I'd like to refer to the board on that and see if anybody would want to meet on March 3rd or if they had anything that they want to bring up on that front.
I'm okay with the meeting, do the planning on the 10th, and then our first official meeting the 17th, if everyone else is okay with that.
Yep.
Let's say you meet the 3rd.
Yep.
I'm fine.
And then another scheduling thing, we don't have to decide this now. We can talk about it individually offline and then at the next public meeting. But April is a little bit of a tricky month because I'm supposed to be on vacation the first week of April, I realize. And my wife will kill me if I cancel that, so that's not happening. And then the third Tuesday is actually PSATS week. So we may have to talk about moving the meeting in April. I just wanted to get everybody's head thinking about that a little bit to see what dates would be good.
Great. Thanks, Derek. Public comment.
Sorry, I would like to be added to that list of this presentation.
Oh, yeah, I can email it to you.
And I
Yeah.
thought it was very good.
I'll get it to you.
Yeah, I learned something here. Because when two of the newest members were out there campaigning, they were saying, and also mentioned on the December 17th meeting that the previous board was doing a watered down version of the comprehensive plan. So theirs was a watered down version. What is your plan? Is it a more intuitive version or you don't even have one yet?
My plan is that we're going to do a comprehensive plan
Okay.
following this process.
That's the case, as I kind of thought you were gonna say. So, but the biggest thing out of this is this is not mandatory or legally required. We just gotta try to follow some kind of guidelines.
Well, when I was referring to not legally required, it's not legally required to implement what the plan is. So you have to do it every 10 years. There's been some back and forth on that as far as like the 10-year. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that this is just my opinion that it's should be done legally every 10 years. That's just my opinion on it. I know some people have expressed others. But the legal part of it that I was referring to was you're not legally mandated to implement anything that you actually say in the plan. Going back to structure yet flexibility of kind of what I was saying.
Because that's how I really got involved with the township, is from the last comprehensive planning.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, which was the last meeting of the year, 200 people, or maybe 300 people showed up to vote against it or campaign against it. And it seemed to me that that is the time that the thing dropped out of favor.
So that was the TND, I believe you're talking
Yes.
about. So that, I just want to be clear though, that was one aspect, I think, of the overarching comprehensive plan, which is much more detailed than that specific part that was, I guess, trying to be implemented at the time. I wasn't around, but so I think there's always going to be portions of the overall comprehensive plan that are going to be lively debate, if you will, no matter what. But then again, policymakers who are elected there's elections here every 2 years, are responsible for saying what they think is, important to implement from the plan itself.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Russ. Any other public comment in the room? Comment from the Zoom room? I'm gonna go over to my friend Barbara for 250 update.
I just want to briefly give you 2 dates to make sure you have them on your calendar. Jason has been diligently working on the 250 plan, celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country. And the next event will be here at East Goshen Township next week, February 25th at 7 p.m. Noah Lewis will be presenting as Ned Hector, and I actually saw it in what you had presented for the West Goshen. He's a handful of a few orators who has been invited to read the Declaration of Independence from the National Archives on July 4th, and will be presenting again as Ned Hector, who had a pivotal role in local battles. One of the few African Americans to have such a pivotal role. So it should be a lively and thoughtful program. There's a link, a QR code to sign up for the event, or you can come here, but we expect a full house. There were 75 attendees at the first lecture, and we're expecting more. So be prepared for a great evening on the 25th.
I've actually seen this guy perform in a sense at the Valley Forge Park a few years ago. He's pretty good.
So
Where is this?
that will be here,
Here. Okay.
here,
And what time?
7
again?
o'clock,
7 o'clock.
February 25th. The next event I want you to put a date on your calendar is Beat Ben Fun Race for kids, April 26th at East Goshen Township Park at noon. They will be running against, and there's a picture of Ben. They will be racing Ben at different age groups. So starting with 3-year-olds up to 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds. Each one has a different length of race. They will all be given a kite at the end to do kite flying. It's $10 a kid. It should be a lot of fun for kids, grandkids. Again, at noon, Beat Ben Kids Fun Run. Jason, he will provide an entertaining event. And so be sure to sign up and sign your grandkids and kids up. And finally, just keep it on your calendar, May 30th, starting at 3 o'clock, parade at 5, followed by concerts and food trucks and speakers and you name it, to celebrate 250 and ending with a fireworks and drone show.
And where's the parade happening at, Barbara?
It goes from, I forget where it starts, but ends in the park.
Okay.
It's a relatively short parade, but will be a fun parade.
Exciting. Any other liaison reports from any board members?
I don't.
No, except one.
Turn your mic on for us.
Oh, yes. One just item for the board to know, and that is that the Conservancy Board has asked me to let the supervisors know that they will be adding and changing their goals as the comprehensive plan proceeds.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have no correspondence or reports of interest, do we?
Do not, Mr. Chairman.
My favorite motion of the night. Who wants to be the lucky person?
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn.
Perfect, thank you, Larry. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Peter. All in favor? Aye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.